It's not refurbished, it's not repaired, it's not rebuilt. This hammer is 140 years old. This is a true restoration in an historical, accurate context. Hello and welcome everyone. This is Peter and I'm the CEO of Klavierhaus.at, which is an Austrian company located in Vienna, and this is our studio. And what all this is about, it's about this piano. A Steinway concert grand from 1887, which we have managed to retain completely in its original state. And let me make it quite clear. I'm talking about a restoration, which means a historically completely accurate work on the piano to retain its original state. And this piano is not just a concert grand. It is a very, very particular and it is a unique piano. There is no second piano like this on the planet. And I'm really happy and proud to have found this piano under really weird circumstances. I'm even more proud to actually have found people to work on this piano in a way that brought it into the state as it is today. Let's dive right into it. This is a Steinway concert grand built in 1887. So this is almost 140 years old, which is quite an impressive age for a piano. But it is even more impressive considering the fact that basically everything in this piano has been retained in its original state. Let me repeat that. Everything in this piano is, and it has been built in New York in 1887. There are three exceptions. The one exception is it's got new strings. The second exception is got new pins for the strings. And the third one is the red felt has been provided by Steinway itself as an original replacement part. But that's it. Other than that, this piano is as it has been built in 1887. And it has been shipped to London in 1888. The first owner of this piano was actually an English actor and theater manager. And he was so proud of having this piano that he actually put his signature here into the inverted V of the piano, where you can find the serial number, which is 62523, which basically dates the piano back to be built in 1887. We have managed to get this piano back into its original state, and in collaboration with the Vienna Symphonic Library, we had a really big and special project sampling this piano. There is no second piano like this on the planet. There are several models and make of the same kind, but none of them have been retained in the original state. There have been soundboard replacement, there have been bridge replacement, and anything that doesn't make it original. And it cannot be rebuilt back into its original state. So, as far as we all know, this is the only one left. And in the next couple of minutes, I'd like to discuss and show you some of the very unique things why this piano is different from a modern Steinway concert grand. What makes this piano special other than just being historically accurate and restored and from 1887? This is a Model D concert grand by Steinway, and it is the first Model D by Steinway. Up to 1884, Steinway had two concert grands. One was called the Centennial, which came in a limited edition of 500 pianos. And there was the Style 3, which was the predecessor, basically, of this piano. Now, it's important to note that this is a completely new design. This design has been proven as to be really, really good in smaller models like the Model B or the predecessor of the Model B built in the early 1880s. But 1884 was kind of a watershed where Theodore Steinway, who was basically the technical guy of Steinway in New York, and his colleague Henry Ziegler decided we're going to completely redesign our concert grands. They should have more projection, more power. They should be richer in overtones. They should be richer in colors and more dynamics, and basically fulfilling all the dreams that a concert pianist of that time could have and has had. And there are some peculiarities about the piano that make it different from a modern Steinway D. So this piano was built in the series and make and model between 1884 and 1892. And there are two things that really stand out and make this concept of a new concert grand completely unique. When we now compare this very particularly make and model built between 1884 and 1892 to a modern concert grand by Steinway, we will see and notice two very, very distinct features that have been discontinued in 1892 for reasons unknown to me. I can only speculate about these, but I'm going to show them to you. The first one is the so-called Duplex scale is an invention and patent by Steinway. And you can see it here right on the iron cast plate. It says Duplex scale, patent May 14, 1872. So this is an older concept. And together with the duplex scale goes this design by the Capodastro bar, patented in November 1875. What does it do? It divides the strings and the upper and lower treble registers, and it provides an additional sounding part. So you not only have one note and three strings sounding this note, you also have additional strings with a defined length that give you an additional passive resonance and give you a different focus on overtones and the particle spectrum. On a modern D, this so-called front duplex scale ends here, right here. On this particular model, the front duplex scale is in three parts. It covers the upper treble, the middle treble, and the lower treble starting at G sharp 3, which is very deep. And now this has a very, very interesting musical relevance. Look at the date. This is 1887. This is where Brahms was in the middle of composing his late piano pieces. And basically all of his piano pieces from that era are using melodic lines that have a very relevant part between here and here. And this is something we all know, that Brahms actually played Steinway. He premiered the second piano concerto on a Steinway in Budapest. So it is not only likely, but it's pretty clear that Brahms was aware of this kind of piano. And if you listen to some of his stylistic elements in his piano music, you will hear that basically his kind of piano music and the way he uses and treats melodic lines plays a really, really important role in his way of composing things. Let's listen to the middle section of his Intermezzo in A major, Opus 118, a very famous one, and it starts like this. And then he repeats that section, and you can do something very interesting with that. This sub-melody, as we can call it, is specifically written in the text, but it is not explicitly written as play it completely different. But when you play on a piano like this, it's basically demanding that you play it this way. And this gives the sound a completely different and new character, because those notes are standing out as particularly rich and round. And that, in addition to the Una Corda pedal, gives you a completely different sound from the first playing of this. And this is one of the most important aspects why this piano is completely different from a modern concert grand. Now, there is a second aspect, and that, for me, that has a little history. I watched a very interesting YouTube video produced by the German piano maker Bechstein, where they had an 1899 Bechstein concert grand restored by an English piano technician called Peter Salisbury, who actually knows what he's doing. And he gave a very interesting explanation of fascinating things that I haven't heard before. I wasn't aware of it. So basically what it is, if you have strings for one note in all the registers from down here up to the very treble section, it's 3 strings per note. And the usual thing is that every string within such a unison, which is what it is called, has the same length, which sounds like a natural thing, because if you want to amplify the sound and have the same character, you simply want to have the same speaking length, as they call it. Now, Bechstein was in an experimental phase in the late 1890s and early 20th century. And one of the things that they tried out is to have different speaking lengths within one unison. And they managed to do this by having those bridge pins not aligned to the capodastro bar or the agraffes, but have it at an angle, which makes 3 strings within a unison at a different speaking length. Now, what does that do? You have the same material, and you are tuning it to the same pitch, and you have the same composition of particles, overtones. So what difference does it make? It makes a huge difference in long-term sound quality. And Peter, when he showed this on the Bechstein concert grand, in a sentence, simply said, yeah, well, Steinway did the same thing for a couple of years. And that was the first time I heard about that. And ever since then, I wanted to know what would a Steinway like this sound like, with the particular things like the capodastro bar, the front duplex scale, the rear duplex scale. And I finally got one image from a friend of a piano maker. I wanted to buy some spare parts for him, and he simply told me, "Oh, I have an interesting concert grand here. You may want to take a look at it." And I took a look at it, and I was simply stunned, because I've never seen something like that in a concert grand before, which is this particular section showed me it has 3 duplex scales, and that led me to the conclusion it's got to have those different sized, different angled bridge pins. And indeed, that was the case. So I was really keen on getting this piano, and which is what we are having here. So if you take a closer look, you can see that the bridge pins come at an angle. What it produces is kind of an ethereal sound. Not in the short attack. You can't hear it in the short attack. But you can hear it, especially in this section, if you give it some time. And it has some kind of floating, ethereal component in it that is completely unique. This is what makes this piano very, very special. And that's the second aspect, which is unique and has not been continued in Steinway's construction of modern concert grands since 1892. So this is the first and the last model where this was incorporated. Our collaboration with the Vienna Symphonic Library was one of the most satisfying things we have ever done, to be quite honest. And that is because we're dealing with musicians. We are dealing with people who are deeply rooted into music making, into sound production, and into sound reproduction. And we were privileged to have people working with us who understood our willingness to go the extra mile to make this piano as perfect as possible. And one of those aspects of making it as perfect as possible is to make some modifications to the piano, especially for the sampling sessions. Personally, I was a little scared that the original hammer is 140 years old, which is a rare thing in itself, would suffer from 30 days of hard sampling. So we went into a collaboration with the German maker of hammers, Abel, very famous and very, very prestigious maker of hammer assemblies. And we sent a full set of the original hammers to him, and our requirement was, please make an exact replica of those hammers so we can use it into a very strenuous sampling session of the piano. And by the way, we did the same with the Wippens, which is the central part in the action of the piano. And we were not sure whether it made sense to use the original Wippens, but also maybe to replace them with more modern ones or more durable ones. But funnily enough, Mr. Abel sent us back all the 88 Wippens and said, there is nothing we can or we should do about these. Those are basically just like new and they are perfect. Keep them as it is. I found that pretty stunning as a statement for a 140-year-old piano. Klavierhaus and the Vienna Symphonic Library have known each other for a couple of years, but this is the first really big project that we did collaboratively. And we had quite some interesting discussions about the scope of preparing the piano in a way that would do justice to its being unique as it is. And I'd like to show you some of the things that we had in terms of modifications to the action and to the hammers. So I'm going to show you the action right now as it is. So I have already removed the side brackets. And always be very, very careful in removing a Steinway action, because otherwise you may end up with a broken hammer. In the meantime, I have removed the two side brackets and the floorboard, because I want to show you the original action and what we actually did to this action. So let's be careful. And if you look at it, you can immediately see this is not a modern Steinway D action. It is indeed an action from 1884. So those blue felts, you won't find these in a modern Steinway anymore. You will find those backjacks have a completely different shape. They're now shaped like this, and back then they were more like this. So, which also means that the hammer tails had a different shape. In order to function well and in the same way as a modern grand, those two things needed to be aligned. And you can see here the original Wippens, and from the color of the felt, you can actually see that even this is original. This is one of the things that we've decided to, in discussion with VSL, that we are going to build replicas of the original hammers in order to make sure that we have the best possible sound for the sampling. And I have changed one hammer, so you can see that there is a slight difference. I've simply changed the last hammer for you to see. And one of the things to show in this hammer is quite interesting. This hammer is 140 years old. And as you can see, it has not been reshaped in 140 years. So basically, this piano has been untouched by a technician to do voicing and regulation. So basically, this is as it left the factory in Queens in 1887. And thanks to the very intense collaboration with Abel, we managed to get very, very similar hammers with one slight difference, which actually turned out to be a big advantage. They are a little heavier by half a gram maybe, or even less, and that goes basically down to the lower bass section. Up there it's even a lot less. But we've had some problems with the lead in the keys. Over the time, lead has an oxidation reaction and it starts to bloom. So we had to remove some of the lead, which made both the hammers and the dampers lighter, and also the keys lighter. And by having a little heavier hammers, we basically got back the original ratio. So this piano now plays as it has been played in 1887. Now, as to the collaboration with VSL, we had very, very long discussions. And I'm privileged to work with a technician who you will see in a different feature of the presentation of this piano. Stéphane Boussuge is really a concert technician, an extra class concert technician. And one of the things that he's focusing on, and one of the things that I am really keen on, is the special sound of Una Corda. And Una Corda means, and I'm simply going to show this here on the keyboard, you're moving the entire keyboard to the right-hand side. As you can see, this is moving. And this gives you a different strike point of the hammer. It doesn't exactly mean going back from 3 strings to 1 string, but it means that it only touches 2 strings at that time, and it touches different parts of the hammer. And if done right, and if done expertly, this gives you a completely different sound. And that is something that is very, very, very special in this piano. And thanks to the close collaboration with Paul Kopf from Vienna Symphonic Library and our technician, we have managed to get enough time in preparing the piano in such a way that the Una Corda sampling has become really special. And this is a first. This is truly a first, where you have such a huge difference not in volume, but in sound quality. The sound quality has something like, hard to describe. You'll have to play it. You'll have to listen to it. You'll have to try it out. But definitely in the VSL Synchron player, you will be able to definitely hear that the Una Corda is something very special, very unique, and this makes this a first, because it's simply done so expertly. I'm so happy to have this technician who has received part of his training in Japan, and he was introduced to very special voicing needles in Japan. And Klavierhaus actually went through some hoops and loops to get him very, very special and unique voicing needles that are really tiny. There are 3 different versions of it. One of it has 7 needles in 1 row for 1 hammer. And there are 2 with 4 right beside and behind each other. And those are really tiny, but they give you an immense control over the flexibility of sound that Una Corda can give you. And this is what we managed to get into the sampling of this piano, and you will be thrilled to play it once you have the digital package on your computer. One thing that I haven't mentioned so far is cosmetics. I have an old 1886 Steinway B myself, and this needed extensive work to get it back into a playable state and in a state where it sounded nice. And I've sworn to myself not to invest a single cent into any cosmetic aspect of it, with the result that it's actually a very ugly duck. With this piano, it's a different story. We were blessed with somebody who did the final assembly of the piano, who took meticulous care to have the iron cast plate cleaned in a very, very meticulous way with an electric toothbrush and paste to not destroy anything and to preserve anything possible and to make it look as if it were new. And one of the things that may surprise you right now is that the surface is not modern polyester. It is not Klavierlack, as they say in German. This is very, very old style French polish shellac finish. And this has taken a lot of work. This was done in England before I bought the piano, and it is real expert work. I mean, this is like a mirror to shave yourself in. And it's really a privilege to have a piano like that, and I must honestly say I have never seen shellac as perfect as this. And all those things taken together, the construction, the design, the history of it, make it not only a unique piano, it's also a really, really beautiful piano.